What's up, everybody? Giving the backyard another mow today. And this time of year, I'm cutting it every 2 to 3 days because it's growing pretty quickly. And also this time of year, we get a lot of questions from customers reaching out, wondering about seeding timing in terms of when should they seed, how far in advance away from winter should they seed. Generally, there's two good seeding windows a year, as most people know, in the spring and in the fall, late summer through fall. And a lot of people actually think spring is the best time to seed, but many people also know that it's really late summer and fall when you get the best seeding opportunity in the whole year. And that's because the ground is still warm from the summer, but the extreme heat of the summer has passed. And so you get warm days, warm soil, and cooler nights, and generally more rainfall. And it's the longest window or stretch of time of ideal growing conditions in the year, meaning that new seedlings have the longest runway that they can establish before unfavorable temperatures arrive, which would be winter in this case. So you can seed in the spring too, but in the spring, the situation's different. You have to wait until it's warm enough so that germination can happen. Generally, that's when the soil temperature is above 10 degrees Celsius and just like 50, 55 Fahrenheit. And then rule of thumb is sort of when the daytime air temp is averaging about 15 degrees Celsius. So you need to wait until it's warm enough in the spring and those temps to arrive before seeding. A lot of people actually seed too early. To try to go in March or even early April can tend to be too cold still in a lot of places. And so then in the spring, the clock you're kind of up against is the arrival of summer heat. And so that period when it's warm enough for germination and before summer extreme heat arrives, that's typically shorter than the seeding opportunity you get in the fall. So that's really why fall is the best time of year to seed. And it's also why people doing Kentucky bluegrass projects typically would wait until late summer to seed bluegrass, primarily because of its longer germination and establishment time. Fall gives you the right amount of time or enough time to start a bluegrass lawn project. And it's also why a lot of people who are seeding bluegrass will seed it from bare soil as opposed to trying to overseed with it. I think you can overseed with Kentucky bluegrass. It's just a bit more challenging, again, because of that longer germination and establishment time. You have to wait for it to germinate, which can take anywhere from, I've seen it germinate as quick as 5 days, but generally it's like, starting around day 8 maybe, but it can take up to 21 days to fully germinate. And meanwhile, during that time, your existing lawn is growing the whole time, and it's longer to establish, so you have to wait a bit longer before you can get on your lawn and cut it. So you're almost like a month before you're mowing your lawn, which is why it's harder to overseed with. And also why perennial ryegrass is generally regarded as the best variety to overseed with. Now, this is also assuming you have sunlight. You wouldn't want to seed a completely shady lawn with perennial ryegrass. You want to make sure you had some fescue. But for example, in like professional athletic fields, they'll build them with Kentucky bluegrass sod because it can come established. The roots just need to develop, but it has that sort of knit together quality that give it durability. But when they need to overseed a professional athletic field, they won't use bluegrass, they'll use perennial ryegrass because its faster germination and establishment time allows it to get up and compete with the existing turf. And so while Kentucky bluegrass has better durability than perennial ryegrass once it's fully established, perennial ryegrass has better durability than bluegrass shortly after germination. So perennial rye just makes for a little bit of an easier user experience when you're overseeding with it. Typically why we recommend it to people who have an existing lawn and they're doing an overseeding project even in the fall. And it looks great too. You know, Kentucky bluegrass was historically regarded as sort of the darkest variety of grass, but really modern elite cultivars that breeders are now producing are all relatively the same level of darkness, and in some cases perennial ryegrass cultivars can be even darker than Kentucky bluegrass. So that historical difference isn't really a trade-off you have to make anymore. And we typically recommend seed varieties to people less based on like attributes and qualities of the variety itself, and more really just like practical reasons. Like, do you get sun? Do you have an existing lawn? Because those factors, they typically determine, you know, the success you'll have, and they should determine the kind of seed you pick for your lawn. So those are just some of the things to think about if you're wondering about when to seed and maybe a little bit about which variety to go with. And we have a free seed finder quiz on our website too. It takes like 60 seconds. So if you're unsure about what might make sense for your yard, you can give that a shot, get a personal recommendation. That's at stripeseed.ca. But thanks for coming along for the mow today, and talk to you soon.